Joining us now for more on how the conflict in Ukraine is affecting women and young girls is Dr. Natalia Kanem, Executive Director of United Nations Population Fund. Thank you for being with us. 3 million people. It's a staggering number. How is the UN handling this massive influx of refugees at this point?
Kira, it's a disaster of epic proportions. As you know, since World War II, the world has not seen this rapid movement of literally millions of people, and that does not include the 2 million displaced within Ukraine itself. Who's most vulnerable? As always, the women and children who are rushing out of harm's way.
And what are your biggest fears? We have talked about exploitation. We have talked about kidnapping. We've heard all kinds of reports of abuses. What are you most concerned about? What are you hearing about? What are you trying to intercede on?
For UNFPA, the main concerns are these. Human rights must be defended, regardless of whether it's conflict or not. Kira, I'm well aware that you know the conflict zone situation, so the attacks on health workers and health facilities, as the Secretary General and a group of us have called for, making sure that the protection of defenseless civilians is paramount. We're talking about putting a premium on life. Above and beyond that, when you have this very acute situation, the compression of people rushing across borders for safety, women who are pregnant, women who have to take their children by the hand to cross a border into the unknown really deserve to be catered for. When I was in Moldova, speaking with people in temporary shelters that were thrown up, and I have to say the generosity of the border countries, of groups who are providing humanitarian aid, having just listened to your discussions following President Biden's announcement. This humanitarian help is life-saving, but it has to be targeted so that a pregnant woman knows that when she's bringing life into the world, people I spoke to, 7 months pregnant, 1 child by the hand, wondering what is going to happen to me after I cross this border, there has to be an answer for them.
And not just the pregnant women, and we saw those horrific pictures of Russian troops blowing up the maternity ward, and you saw the women coming out pregnant, some had just given birth, and you saw, blood coming down their shoulders. I mean, it really puts everything in perspective. How about just the kids that have lost their parents? I mean, our Matt Gutman did a powerful piece, and I know we have pictures of the orphans that he focused on. These children, not knowing what's next, little children with no parents. I mean, the long-term effects here are heart-wrenching. So what about these kids? I mean, adults can try and figure something out for themselves. It's not easy, but these children have no options.
As UNFPA works under the aegis of the Refugee Agency with UNICEF, fighting to protect the most vulnerable, children who are unaccompanied, a woman who's going on her own, her relatives are staying behind to fight in the war, and she is fleeing to save her life. The ability to make sure that they are not put in further harm's way by trafficking is one of the things that really worries me right now. You can imagine a situation where there's a crush of people at a bus station and an offer of help may or may not be genuine. So we have to be vigilant in understanding that as women and girls are on the move, as children are unaccompanied, there are vast dangers. And as a humanitarian system, the United Nations, working with a lot of the terrific NGOs that are giving their all right now, and by the way, deserve protection from being caught up in conflict. The protected corridors are so important for that reason. We are there to take the statistics, to give the guidance, and also, I repeat, to protect life on the journey. We don't know what's going to happen at the end of this conflict, but we stand with the Secretary General who said, you can walk back this conflict. Peace is the only answer. But in the interim, we've got to shield people who are vulnerable from the terrible, devastating effects of war. And let me just add that as we think about the complications of a humanitarian operation, the compression of people just in 2-3 weeks who've been flooding borders into the neighboring countries, those neighboring countries are now getting overwhelmed as well. Sitting there in Moldova, talking to that government and the people who are giving their all to bring support and succor to the Ukrainians who are coming over, the young volunteers, those who are providing dignity kits as we do, because biology doesn't stop, pregnancy doesn't stop, menstruation doesn't stop, but food is paramount. And right now, Kira, there are thousands of newborns who are not able to get the proper food, nutrition, and medicine in the country of Ukraine and spilling over.
So what can we do? I mean, it's the perfect final question. There are going to be people listening to that and ask, what can I do?
What is important about the response is for the world to show solidarity. And that actually has been one of the things that's very impressive, how people are rushing to help. It has to be coordinated, and it also has to target those who are most vulnerable. We need to make sure that as we work to distribute the health equipment, that we work to protect the people on the ground, as we establish mobile teams to account for people on these borders, that humanitarian law will be respected, that we will not see this crisis of now compounding the effects of the devastation on people who are fleeing by not protecting them and giving safe passage. That's really crucial.
Dr. Natalia Kanem, appreciate your time today.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.